Midsummer night turned the key. Hannah's cousin Juhani had come to visit, bringing coffee and news from town. The men warmed the last coals of the bonfire and sat outside, a little enlivened by home brew. You know, Eero, Juhani said quietly, his wife Katri asleep inside, there's talk about this house. Where did you hear that? Eero asked, sipping. The post writer told me. He hears every rumor. He says this place is haunted. They call it the Savo räyhähenki. Nonsense, Eero snorted. They say it's not a common ghost but a devil's helper, set in a house built on an old grave field. Enough, Eero barked, surprising himself with his own temper. My croft is not built on any grave. Silence fell on the yard. Then Juhani spoke low. When you bought the land, no one dared tell you there was a pagan burial site here. When you started to clear the field, you found bones. Do you remember? Eero tightened his grip on the glass. True, bones had come up. He had assumed they were animal and buried them deeper. He had not thought. Rupert, a voice rang from upstairs. Like a shout slicing through a thought. They turned. The sound came clearly from the attic. Rupert is my name, the voice cried. And I always come back. Eero, swearing, lunged into the house. Hannah, Katri, and little Aino had woken and heard it too. Everyone stared at the ceiling. You may call me Rupert, the voice repeated from between the roof beams. I was here before you, and I will be here after you. All midsummer weekend the voice howled from the attic. Objects flew on their own. Heavy furniture slid from its place. Once a flame flared out of nothing in the middle of the floor. Eero stamped it out fast. Juhani and Katri left the next day, shaken and afraid. They carried word to the parish village, the devil was loose at the Räyskälä croft. The attic voice went on. Most often it called its own name, Rupert, again and again. At times it said other things, mocked Eero and Hannah, told what they had done before they even entered the house. I know you stole the Simola farmer's silver, it told Eero one night. I know it's buried under the granary. It lies, Eero told Hannah, but he would not meet her eyes. Hannah has laid down a child, the voice went on. Before you were a couple. A baby boy. And buried him in the woods. It's a spirit of evil, Hannah whispered, weeping. Aino is not your son, Eero, the voice laughed. His father is the Simola master. Enough! Eero cried toward the rafters. Hannah had withdrawn to a corner, shaking. That night was the worst. Everything in the room flew, slamming the walls. Windows shattered. Chairs and table lifted and crashed. Eero, Hannah, and Aino fled outside, where the air was still and the moon shone calmly. We have to do something, Eero said, voice trembling. For the first time he admitted there was something in the house he could not explain. 2 days later Juhani returned with 10 men, the pastor, the sheriff, and neighbors. They saw the dishes fly out of the attic and heard Rupert's voice laughing at them, shouting their secrets, telling their sins. There is only one remedy for this, the pastor said at last. Fire purifies all. Eero looked at the home he had built with his hands for 10 years. The wooden walls, the joined corners, all his labor. But Rupert's voice went on. Small things still whirl through the air. Carry out what can be saved, the sheriff said. Then we'll burn the house. No one spoke to Rupert, but the attic voice laughed and shrieked as the men hauled belongings into the yard. At the last moment, just before the first torch touched the thatch, Rupert screamed from above. Burn it! I am in the smoke. I am in the fire. I am everywhere. The house caught quick. The dry logs roared, and soon the whole building was aflame. It was a still summer night, the fire did not spread to the other outbuildings. The sheriff's guards kept watch. Eero watched his home turn to glittering ash and naked stone. He wept openly. I am sorry, the pastor said. Sometimes a house ridden by an evil spirit cannot be saved. When the blaze sank to embers, Rupert was silent. Not a sound. In the morning the men checked the ruins for hidden sparks. None. Only a soot foundation and a black mouth where the cellar had been. It's over, said the pastor. The evil spirit is gone. The family moved to Kwapya, to Hannah's sister. Arrow promised a new home, nearer to people. Some goods had been saved enough to start again. The sheriff helped them find work and lodgings. He pitied the shamed family. 2 quiet months passed. Then one night, odd things began again. First, the scissors disappeared. Then a porcelain plate was found set neatly in the middle of the floor. From the dark of the attic crawlspace came a familiar voice. Rupert T. is my name. Eero Räyhähenki hanged himself in 1893, from the woodpile in the outbuilding. Before that, the family had moved 5 times, each time, within a month Rupert T. returned. Things moved, voices spoke, bad laughter echoed. Neighbors avoided them, no one wanted dealings with a cursed family. Hannah sent Aino to relatives and lived the rest of her life as a nun at the Krivi convent. She never again spoke of what had happened, but she wrote it all down. Those papers survived and were later studied in a journal of the Finnish Scientific Society. They say that in a certain house on the outskirts of Kwapya, the events repeat even now, 100 years later. Scissors vanish. Objects shift. At night, from the attic, come laughter and a name no one wants to speak. And if you listen closely, sometimes on rainy days you can hear, from the bog around the ruins of the Räyhähenki croft. I am in the smoke. I am in the fire. I am everywhere. A räyhähenki, a rowdy, poltergeist-type spirit, never truly disappears. It lives on, and follows those it has chosen as its own.